What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Clint from the Die Hard MMA podcast. How is everybody doing tonight? Welcome to the episode of Total Madness for Ige versus Kattar. We've got the Fight Night UFC 172 coming on Wednesday, 7:15, and I know this episode is out a little bit late. I do apologize. The totals just dropped, y'all. So the reason we didn't do the show before is because there weren't any totals out to break down. They just came out. It is Sunday night. Your boy's burning that midnight oil, bringing the best content to you. So I apologize if I'm a little tired in this video because ever since I took the ass beating on UFC 251, I've been hard at work for the double fight week that we've got this week. I've been doing nothing but research, and I am back at it already. So I'm just doing what I can. Let's get this Total Madness rolling, shall we? We kick our night off. Now, these events, these fights may be a little bit out of order. There have been a couple fight cancellations, a couple swaps. So I apologize if these fights are in the wrong order. Please don't roast me too hard. So we're kicking the night off with John Phillips taking on Khamzat Chimaev. I'm not sure how you pronounce that last name. He's new to the UFC. He's making his debut. John Phillips was an underdog I was very, very interested in with his previous opponent, but he got pulled out due to COVID. So now we've got Khamzat coming in here, and this kid is legit. I found some stuff on him online. I am incredibly impressed with this guy. He is undefeated, making his UFC debut, and he's got a great opponent to do it. We know that Phillips struggles with the takedowns in the ground game. We've got the total set at over under 1.5, and this is a spot that I can only look to the under. So John Phillips, heavy hands. This guy can knock absolutely anybody out if you're willing to engage with him. Same thing with his opponent. His opponent also has that chain grappling, wrestling, takedown, stifling type of style. Once he gets you on the mat, he is wicked with his submissions. I think he's got a 100% finish rate. The fact that Phillips has that hole in his game that this thing could hit the mat, he's given up submissions in the UFC before, and the fact that he can land that bomb himself, I would have to look at the under. It's juiced minus 135, but the under 1.5. So I don't know that it's one that I will play simply because with Khamzat coming in on short notice, you never know. He may look to grapple and extend this thing and get John Phillips a little tired or worry about his own gas tank. I'm not sure what kind of condition he's in. So it's one that I'm going to be passing on, but I honestly expect Khamzat to finish John Phillips in this fight at some point. We do have Bacchus getting a Modestus Bakatakis. I'm not sure how to pronounce that last name. I apologize. He got a late notice replacement opponent as well, who is somebody I haven't been able to look into. Andreas Michalidis. Geez, these names are awful. I'm sorry. They've got the total set at 1.5 on this one. Basically even money on the over and the under. And I have no clue. I'm not super up on this fight. I didn't study Modestus just because I saw his opponent got pulled for COVID, so I didn't spend any time looking into him. I'm going to have to research both him and his opponent by Wednesday if I have time. Don't know if I'll get there because we've got the podcast going live on Monday. We've got the roundtable, I believe, happening on Tuesday. Not sure. Cross your fingers on that one. And then we've got fights on Wednesday. I've got to do the weigh-in breakdown on Tuesday before the Wednesday fight card, and then we're doing it all over again before Saturday. So not sure if I'll get to this one or not. And then we've got Aaron Phillips taking on Jack Shore. This is yet another one that was a recent late addition to the card, so I do not have a good read on it. Over and under set at 1.5. Slightly juiced to the over at minus 130. So again, I'm not going to give you a look on this one simply because I don't want to lead you the wrong way without any knowledge whatsoever on this one. Ryan Benoit taking on Tim Elliott. Now we're back on track. I know what I'm talking about on this one. We've got the total set at 2.5. Juiced to the over at minus 180. The comeback on the under is plus 150. Tim Elliott is gonna come out and look to grapple. The only way that this fight goes under, in my opinion, is if he gets knocked out by Ryan Benoit. Benoit struggles with the ground game, and Tim basically all he does is wrestle. He is an absolute zombie. This guy can take so much damage. He's only really ever been submitted. I don't think he's ever been knocked out in the UFC. So I don't really see a finish materializing for this one unless one of these guys is just broken or gives something up. There is the chance that Tim Elliott can submit Ryan Benoit, but I'm not seeing it. He's mostly just going to smother him once he gets him on the mat. mat return him, work the cardio, keep on grinding him. And Benoit is very tough, very physically strong. So there's a decent chance he'll be able to keep his submission defense on point, but then stay alive essentially in this fight. So I would have to look at the over, but I don't want to lay minus 180 on this kind of a fight. It just doesn't, it's not my forte to lay that kind of a price on a total, even if it does look like that's the direction it's going to head. Lerone Murphy taking on Ricardo Ramos. We've got a total set at 2.5 rounds, minus 185 going under, and plus 150, minus 185 going over, plus 155 on the comeback on the under. This is another one that I would have to look over. Over's the only option that I can see here. Murphy is the one who could get the finish here, really. Ricardo Ramos, he does great work, and unless he's really turned that corner in his career that he stops decisioning people and starts finishing people, we see a lot of young fighters that are headed towards the top 10 of the division. They eventually hit that stride, they hit that peak, and that's when they start finishing. It hasn't happened yet, and I'm not expecting it this fight. Murphy is a really tough opponent, and if he flash KOs Ramos, I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. That's really the only way I see this thing going under. I think Ramos is going to have to rely on the grappling, and Murphy's got a bit of an issue with his takedown defense as well. So I think Ramos will just really focus on keeping this fight on the mat as much as humanly possible and grind out a decision win. So again, same thing. I'm avoiding this one because I don't like the number, but I expect it to go over. Liana Jojua taking on Diana Belbita. This one's set at 2.5 again, minus 205 to the over, plus 165 to the other. Under. Sorry, getting tongue-tied here. This one has me scratching my head just a little bit. I'm almost interested in the under on this fight, surprisingly enough. I know women's fights more often than not go to the over, and you expect them to go to the judges' scorecards. However, Jojua is just not a great fighter. The UFC tried to give her a freebie, a layup win the last time they were over in Abu Dhabi, and she got a mercy killing stoppage. She was under Cheesecake Morass, and she couldn't get out from under her. She wasn't hitting her with hard shots, but it was apparent that she was just going to be stuck there for the rest of the third round, so the referee stepped in and saved her. Now, based on UFC 251's refereeing, they probably would just let her die there. So I don't know if we're going to be catching any unders after what we saw at UFC 251. But that's the way that I would look here, because Belbita of these two is the better fighter, and I think Belbita is capable of dealing out more damage than Cheesecake was, especially with her ground and pound if it hits the mat. So I'm a little tempted to take that under 2.5 at plus 165 on this one. That's the way that I would look if I was going to play it. Not sure if I'll make that an actual play or not, but that's the way I would look at it. Talia Santos taking on Molly McCann. We've got about a pick'em here. Slight favorite on Molly McCann. Over 2.5 is minus 355. The under is plus 265. This is more what we're talking about with the women's fights. This is the kind of line that we are much more used to seeing. They know this one's going to the cards. It's heavily juiced to the over. You're not expecting a finish here. Molly McCann, incredibly tough, hard-nosed, doesn't give up. Talia Santos, really just a striker. Not much to speak of for the submission game, so you don't really expect her to catch McMahon in a submission. Really, the only way I could see this thing going under is McCann getting some kind of a TKO. Ground and pound is really her thing. She's vicious, and if she can get Santos down, she might be able to pull that off. Santos, she really has very limited striking. As good as she is, it seems like she has a jab leg kick combo that she really goes to over and over. So unless we see one of those, new age phenomenal leg kick TKO victories from her, I don't think she can finish this fight. Molly McCann is just too damn tough. So this is one I'm not going to touch. That 265 is super juicy on the under. I would love to see Molly McCann get a TKO here and cash that under for me. But unfortunately, I just don't think I've got the cojones to take it, because I don't think that that's something that is going to happen in this fight. Jimmie Rivera taking on Cody Stamann. This is a late mix-up here. We lost our co-main event. Frankie Edgar was supposed to be taking on Pedro Munoz. When that dropped out, they called these boys up and they answered the phone. Really phenomenal fight, especially to see it get put together in 6 days or something like that. Both these boys are riding out to Abu Dhabi and getting their tests taken care of, so we know they're COVID-free and fighting for us. Really, really awesome that they put this high level of a fight together this quickly. Over and under is set at 2.5, and this is kind of like the women's fights on this one. I can't see this one finishing inside the distance. I mean, minus 370 to the over and then plus 280 on the under. The only way you could look on this fight would be under, unless you felt like parlaying a minus 370, which, let's be real, I never do. Jimmie Rivera, he's got some good solid striking. He's going to have a reach advantage here in this fight. I think he's probably the better striker of the two. Both these guys extremely physically strong, extremely high-level wrestlers, so I expect them to cancel each other out there. I don't think there's going to be a ton of grappling, and even if there is some grappling, they both know what they're doing enough. I don't see anybody getting submitted. And Cody Stamann, dude's got pillow fists. I mean, he can't knock anybody out, and we've seen the kind of damage that Jimmie Rivera has been able to take against guys like Peter Yan. I mean, he's so hard to put away. I fully expect this thing to go to the judges' scorecards and be kind of almost a point fighting type of fight with a little bit of cage control mixed in there. So definitely looking over on that one, but also definitely not touching that price. Jared Gordon taking on Chris Fishgold. This is one that I find extremely interesting. The total is set at 2.5, minus 105 to the over, and under 2.5 is juiced ever so slightly to minus 125. Jared Gordon got some slick striking. Really solid wrestler, big chin issue. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just lay this, clean out here for you. I've already got Chris Fishgold in my pocket. I am on Chris Fishgold in this one. I think he's going to take advantage of that chin issue. So because of that, I'm going to be looking at the under. I don't think I'm going to double up on this one because I like to have two willing parties, right? You want to see both guys be able to contribute to that under cashing. And I simply don't see Jared Gordon doing it. I mean, when he fought Wolfman Bobby Moffett, he had to grind out a really tough, gritty 3-round decision to be able to get that fight done. And Fishgold, I mean, maybe he could gas late and get finished in the second or something like that, but I really see the finishing ability on Chris's side here, and I've already got a straight bet on him, and he's the dog here, so I don't know that I want to lay the juice on the under 2.5, because unless Jared Gordon just comes out like a bat out of hell, which I really don't expect after he's been KO'd stiff out of 3 of his last 4 fights, he's going to have a grappling heavy game plan more than likely. I don't see him coming out and risking himself that way, so I don't really see him getting like a brutal, vicious ground and pound TKO win or anything like that either. We have Abdul Razak Alhassan returning to the UFC, taking on Mounir Lazzez, I believe is how you say his last name. This total is set at 1.5. The under is minus 165. The over comeback is plus 135. And this is really just because Lazzez is a solid striker. He's finished damn near everybody on his regional scene fights on his way to the UFC. He's going to stand toe-to-toe with Abdul Razak Alhassan, and we know the type of explosive power and striking pressure that Abdul brings to the cage. So, I mean, the smart money says under, right? It's juiced to minus 165 for a reason. I don't know enough about Lazzez to say whether or not he'd be able to survive. If we had somebody who had maybe a bit more grappling chops, somebody who might be able to pin Razak up against the cage and maybe get him down on the mat once or twice, I would be very, very interested in looking over plus 135. However, they found the perfect mark for this guy. They've got 2 incredibly explosive, incredibly dangerous, big, hungry strikers, and all they're going to do is stand in the center and bang, unless one of them's got some wrestling in their back pocket that we simply don't know about. I got to feel like someone's probably going to go to sleep in the first round. I'm not touching this one because, again, I wouldn't be shocked if maybe they feel each other out. One of these situations where both guys have power and they respect each other's power, so they take it a little bit slow. But the last time I thought that was going to happen, Abdul Razak Alhassan was fighting Nico Price, and he showed no respect whatsoever. He had zero interest in taking it slow against Nico Price. And Nico Price is a guy that's got some death touch. So the fact that he walked through that to go in and land a KO bomb himself, I'm not expecting him to do that with a UFC newcomer. I think this is a get-right fight, a get-back-on-the-horse type of fight for Razak, and we really are going to see what Lazzez is made of here. I would expect the under 1.5 to cash, but again, I'm not laying that price. This really isn't a very good card for totals, in my opinion. I think there's enough questions on this card that playing a couple of straight bets is really more of the way to go, because most of these totals are super, super heavy on the side that makes sense. You know, if the bookie, if the world, if the narrative of the fight is saying this thing is going to go under, we're seeing big juice on the under. If it makes sense that these guys aren't going to be able to finish each other and it's probably going to go over, we're seeing minus 370 on the over. There's not a whole lot of value to be had, in my opinion, on this fight, on these totals. So I'm going to be passing on the majority of these totals this week. I usually like to sniff out some halfway decent value on these things, and I feel like I find a couple spots, but the 1 or 2 spots that I do like, I already have bets on those fighters, and I don't feel like doubling up on them. So that's really kind of where that leaves us. Let's go to the main event. Dan Ige taking on Calvin Kattar. Now, I've got a parlay from Kamaru Usman absolutely demolishing Jorge Masvidal, and that's tied to Kattar. So I expect Kattar to get the knockout in this fight. I've been on record saying that before. That's exactly how I see this thing playing out, and the total is set at 4.5. They've only got it minus 160 to the under here, plus 130 to the over. And again, I would just have to look under, but the bookies know that. It's minus 160 for a reason. The only thing that I would think would make this even partway worth it would be because the under is 4.5. These guys, I mean, Kattar can be a bit of a slow starter, but Ige is not. So I think Ige's probably going to push the pace. He's probably going to push the pace, and he's going to get Kattar working a little bit earlier than he normally expects to. And we saw what Kattar did the last time out against Jeremy Stephens. When Jeremy Stephens brought the fight to him, he went, okay, I have to flip that switch a little sooner. And in round 2, he came out like a bat out of hell and crushed him with that disgusting, filthy elbow and ended the fight. I don't think Dan Ige is as durable as Stephens probably is, and Kattar is fully capable of finishing anybody in this division with those bombs he has for hands. On top of that, I'm very concerned about the damage that Ige is still wearing from his last fight. He fought Edson Barboza, and he got whipped pillar to post for that fight, managed to squeak out a win, but he almost got finished twice. He got dropped twice in that fight, and this is a pretty quick turnaround. So the durability problems are there. I've heard people say that about Calvin Kattar as well. Now, I don't think Calvin Kattar took nearly as much damage as Dan Ige did, but the fact does remain that he was in a scrap with Jeremy Stephens. So this quick turnaround could aid itself to him being a little bit less durable as well. If you're not going to play this one straight, I would take a look at that under. That minus 160 for the 4.5 doesn't sound so bad to me. So that's my look. There we go. We've got the Wednesday card wrapped up. I'm going live on the podcast. This is probably dropping Monday, so you'll probably see me live later today. And again, on Tuesday, we should have a show. I'll have my weigh-in recap show. As always, the fights are on Wednesday, and then we're going to do it all over again with the weigh-in recap show on Friday. Probably another Total Madness for Saturday, hopefully on Thursday this week. And then we got fights again on Friday, folks. This is going to be Saturday. This is going to be a good week. It's so good, I've lost my mind. I'm completely confused right now, and my week has been turned upside down. So let's do our best to make some cash, find those good spots to make some money. Good luck, everybody. We'll be talking to you all week. Keep it dialed in here to Odds HQ. Make sure you hit that sub button and go follow me over on Twitter at DieHardMMAPod. We'll talk to you soon.